Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first one is titled, The Karen That Loved Me. This incident happened in Kroger this past Friday. Despite being in the middle of this pandemic and our building being the center of a small cluster, 9 cases, despite being at 25% maximum capacity, still some 500 employees, we had a group of second-tier execs, not C-level, but the next step down. Executive vice presidents, senior VPs, etc., and their entourages were doing a dog and pony show and touring the office. So, of course, shirts and ties for everyone still in-house. After 14 hours of this crap, I headed home and stopped at Kroger for some staples and much-needed beer. I'm going through, filling my cart and trying to pick pretzel nuggets or rods, when I hear this hum. You remember Dolores Umbridge from the Harry Potter films? That sound, but from the throat of a 2-pack-a-day smoker. This old lady, face like an extra from a Golden Girls, walking dead crossover and clothes like a Michael's craft store vomited on her, was standing behind me and tapping her foot like she'd been waiting for hours. After a moment, she speaks up, "It's about time you noticed me. Now, where are the Cheetos? Not the crunchy ones, the other ones." I'm surprised, annoyed, and not having it. "Lady, I don't work here. Do I look like I work here?" She pauses, looks, sees my badge hanging off my belt, and her demeanor rotated 180 degrees. "Oh, I'm sorry. You're in a tie and white shirt, I assumed you were a manager here. I really am sorry." She starts away, and I laugh. She's standing literally alongside the Cheetos. "It's all right, we've all had those days. By the way, right by your head." She looks over and starts beaming, her Lord and Savior Chester in all his puffed glory, found. "Thank you, and I'm sorry again." Old bag scurries away. A few minutes later, as I'm in the self-check line, I hear "ooh," and he's handsome too. I bet he has a nice smile under that mask. In line for the regular checkouts there's the lady, talking and pointing with another old biddy. I'd say it made my day, but at that point I was too tired to give half a damn, let alone a full damn, but it was interesting enough that I wanted to share with y'all while I take a break from doing payroll. Cheers! The next one is titled, Nothing Says, I Work Here, Like Shopping with a Mobility Scooter. Apparently context, I'm 38 and was in a horrific head-on wreck last year. Broke 30 plus bones, 3 months in the hospital, 1 in ICU, and I'm now disabled as a result. Both legs were crushed in the wreck. I'm at a point where I can walk pretty well, but distances are brutally painful, so I typically use a store-provided mobility scooter to do my shopping. These things are bulky and slow but get the job done. This morning, I thought I would avoid the crowds and get my grocery shopping done early in the day. I parked in the accessible parking, grabbed my cane, and made my way into the store. I picked out a mobility cart and was off to the races. Now, it's been more than a decade since I worked retail. I was in food service for the duration of my 20s before I decided to go to law school. I have always had big retail energy, so I'm used to having people think I work in places where I'm just shopping. However, since the wreck, I have not had that problem. At this grocery store, all employees wear a red shirt unless they're a curbside, personal shopper, then they wear teal. They all wear store-branded masks, too, or medical disposable ones. This morning, I'm wearing a purple tank top and a holographic face mask. I've parked in front of the soups, contemplating which one I want. A polite cough behind me. "Oh. Sorry," I said, immediately rolling forward to get out of the way, wrongly assuming I was blocking something this person wanted. "I just had a question," the lady said in a very tart voice. I knew that tone. I slowly turned the scooter around and fixed her with my "consider your next words carefully" attorney gaze. I thought I was going to get a comment about how I was lazy or something. People love to judge younger disabled people. She faltered for a second, then plowed forward, undeterred. "I have been all over this store and cannot find the food coloring." I definitely slow blinked at her. I haven't been mistaken for an employee in 2 years. I can honestly say I was not expecting that. "Ma'am, my best guess is it's on the baking goods aisle. But honestly, I recommend you find someone who works here to show you." She frowned at me. "Are you saying you don't work here?" I looked down at my clothes, at the cart hayful of groceries, at my cane, then back up at her. I really don't." She turned red and walked away, muttering about how rude kids these days are. She looked like she was my age. Honestly, the whole thing almost made me mildly nostalgic for the days where I would be harassed at Red Big Box store while wearing my server's uniform for big chain Italian restaurant. Almost. Additional information: I'm an employment discrimination and disability rights attorney, so I am actually pretty appreciative that she did not just assume that my disability meant I didn't work there. But if I did, I sure as hell wouldn't be using the store scooters to get around. Those things last an hour, max, on full charge. I'd have my own. The next one is titled, "Mistaken for a Middle Schooler." This happened about 7 or so years ago. I was 20 and 5'2" with a baby face, so you could say I was used to being stopped by truancy officers. I was looking to make a little bit of money without actually having a job. I was in college and didn't want to dedicate too much time to anything other than schoolwork. I lived at home and my tuition was paid, so getting a job really wasn't all that important. On the occasion, however, I did odd tasks for my friends and family for a bit of pocket money. My father was, and still is, a middle school teacher. While he is well loved, paperwork isn't really his thing. As such, I would regularly grade his students' work, nothing too intense. Multiple choice and such. Every now and again I would take a day to go in and assist him in reorganizing the classroom itself. It was always a great time. The students were amazing and I got to see my father doing what he loved. On this particular occasion he had lunchroom duty, where he basically supervised the cafeteria and made sure the children didn't get too rowdy. Being a bored college student, I followed him down rather than stay in the empty classroom by myself. Once we were down in the cafeteria, I mostly just became a wallflower and kept out of the way while he called tables of preteens up for their meal. There were other teachers around assisting and a few would wave to me when spotted. Most knew me from the previous occasions that I've been there, and those who didn't figured out the situation pretty quickly by asking myself or their co-workers. I hadn't been in a middle school cafeteria since I had been in middle school, but it wasn't anything overly impressive. It was a regular cafeteria, loud, messy, and full of children. I quickly became disinterested and simply leaned against the wall, drifting off into La La Land. Most people were content to just mill around me, but not everyone. I can feel someone staring at me, and after a moment I check my surroundings. A stocky figure was standing in front of me, clearing their throat aggressively. Giving them my attention, I was met with an angry-looking older woman that I did not know. With her hands folded over her chest, she glared down at me with a frown, tapping her foot in annoyance. I didn't say anything, waiting for her to tell me what she wanted. "Didn't you hear me tell everyone to sit down?" No, actually. I honestly didn't, because I wasn't listening. I barely listened in middle school. When I actually attended, I didn't. Well, I did. Good for you. Excuse you? So, she raised her eyebrows and gave an exaggerated shrug. "Why are you still standing?" By this point I was getting more annoyed than confused. I still didn't know what she wanted from me, but I don't like people talking to me in general. And I definitely don't like people talking down to me. So I'll admit I got a little snarky with her. "I'm still standing because I don't want to sit down. Now you listen here, young lady. You are going to sit down right this instant." "No. I am not. No. I don't know who you think you are, but as long as you're a student in this school you will listen." It was at this moment that I knew. We'd screwed up. I of course wasn't a middle school student, and I was highly offended that she thought I was. While small and unimposing, I'd certainly hit puberty hard enough not to be mistaken for a 7th grader. Still, I tried to be understanding in that mistakes had been made, and I tried to backtrack. "Oh. I'm not." "Yes," she spaced out the single-syllable word, "you are. I don't even go here." "Oh, so now you don't go here, huh? Then why are you here?" Go on, tell me another lie." Quite literally backed into a corner, I began looking around for my father, but I couldn't see him from where I was standing. I didn't need him to save me. However, I didn't know if I'd be able to convince this woman that 1. I wasn't a child, 2. I didn't attend the school, and 3. I wasn't a pervert trespassing in a middle school before I either got detention or arrested. That's when a random 12-year-old came to my rescue. "USS Robertson, your dad is looking for you." "Oh, your father is here, is he?" Grinning and twisting her head as if she was a snake being charmed, the woman looks extremely pleased. Turning to the kid, she smirks wide and gestures with her hands. And just where is her father? Right there. The kid waves down my dad, calling his attention over to us. She's over here, Mr. USS Robertson. The woman frowned at me, but all I could think to say was, I'm 20 but he's still my dad. Which didn't make all that much sense. Once the lunch aide became aware of what was happening, she left. She didn't apologize. She didn't double down. She didn't even wait for my father to come over. She just turned bright red and immediately left the room. I never actually told my dad because I don't think he's let me live down getting saved by 12-year-old. The next one is titled, The Day I Discovered There Are Two Types of Americans. I want to take you back to 2015. Life is good, pubs are open, travel is easy and permitted. I'm backpacking across Europe and have made it to Dublin. The day before, I met two incredibly friendly Americans from Oregon during a whiskey tasting at the Jameson distillery. They invite me to join them on a road trip the next day into Northern Ireland. As we were in Dublin, we all got incredibly crap-faced. I mean, puke in a sink, blackout. How the hell did I even get back to my hostel room? Kind of crap-faced. Wake up to my alarm going off and seeing I'm way too late to meet them at the car rental we agreed. I pack my bags and jump in a taxi to meet them, hopefully. Luckily for me, they were also having a rough morning and arrived at the car rental after me. They check out the car, we put our bags down and I said I'll be over to the toilets before we get going. While crossing the car park, a group of absolute units waddle over and ask me where the main office is. I say just over here, I'm heading there now if you want to follow me. Now it's been 5 years, so my memory of what they asked next is not clear, but it was something about why am I the only staff member out? They have been waiting for assistance for ages. I stop in disbelief, look down, yup, I'm still wearing the same heavy metal band shirt from last night, yup, there's dried puke stains still on it. I can feel my hair is pointing in every nautical direction. I'm too hungover to keep up the happy friendly charade. Do you think I work here? Don't you? Do I look like I work here? I don't know what someone who works here would look like. They wouldn't be in a dirty band shirt and obviously hungover now, would they? And I don't even sound Irish. I turn to get to the toilets ASAP while the self-entitled lump behind me starts going off about how rude people are to no one in particular. Returning to my new friends, one turns to me, what was the about? Just the other half of your fellow Americans. Both shake heads in embarrassment. The next one is titled, No, I Can't Leave the Gas Station Where I Actually Work in the Middle of My Shift to Help You Get McDonald's. This was quite a while ago, over a year at least. I don't remember exactly, but I still think about it from time to time, wondering on what planet this lady must have come from to think a request such as hers was even remotely reasonable. Especially since, as far as I'm aware, other than the mobile app, McDonald's doesn't even do phone orders. I work at a gas station in a small town. Although the town is small, a major highway cuts through it and the gas station where I work is often fairly busy. We're actually busy enough to justify having 2 workers, but the owners disagree and figure the gas station itself is small enough one worker should be able to handle things fine on their own. Yes, I have some stories that alone prove the owners have clearly never had to work under the conditions they expect us to, but those are for another day. My point is that the cashier on duty for that shift is the only person working there at that time. Unless they are training someone. And trainees are given exactly 2 days of training before getting thrown in the deep end. BC, God forbid the owners have to pay 2 people to work at the same time. Never mind, it gets busy enough to have lines snake around the whole building quite often. I should also mention our number is similar to a few other places, including some that are actually in the next town over, so when we answer the phone we answer with, hello, you've reached, name of town, name of gas station. The idea being, upon hearing this, any misdials will realize immediately they have the wrong number and prevent conversations like the following. Obviously didn't work in this case. It's a typical day at work and I had just finished helping a customer. It was a rare, blissfully slow day so far, so there was only one other customer in the store at the time who was busy perusing the drink selection we had when the store phone rang. Normally our policy is customers in store get priority over phone calls, but as the only customer in the store wasn't actually ready to check out yet, I went ahead and answered it. This is the conversation that ensued. Me, will be me obviously, and L, will be the entitled lady. Me, hello, you've reached, name of city, name of store, how may I help you? L, yeah, I want to call ahead my order so y'all will have it ready when I get there. I want a McDouble and a large fry with Me, cuts the lady off. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but this is gas station, not McDonald's. L, this isn't McDonald's. Me, no ma'am, it's gas station. L, are you sure? Me, glances at the gas pumps outside thinking WTF? Yes ma'am, I'm sure. L, well I called because want my order ready when I get there. Me, ah well. Then you'll need to call McDonald's. L, can't you just run over there and hand your phone to them? At this point I should mention the store phone is, obviously, a landline phone. I mean yeah, it's cordless, but it has a limited range on how far you can take it from the base before it stops working, so not only is this request ridiculous, it's also literally impossible. Me, I'm sorry ma'am, but I can't do that. L, what do you mean you can't do that? Why not? This is terrible customer service. By now the in-store customer is ready at the counter, and as the person on the phone is actually not even wanting us, it was time to cut this off, and while admittedly probably wasn't the right way to handle things, but I needed her off the phone so I could help my actual customer. I completely dropped my polite retail persona and decided to be absolutely blunt. Look lady, I cannot leave my workplace while I'm working, I have my own customers to help. The phone we are speaking on is a landline. As are most businesses' phones, and even if I wanted to help you, it doesn't have the range to go that far. As for customer service, you are not my customer, you are McDonald's customer, and it's actually not my job to help you order your McDonald's. Have a great day. The last part said in a sing-song, overly sweet, semi-sarcastic tone that I generally reserve for Karens. I hung up without even giving her a chance to respond, then helped my actual customer. She never called back and I never got in any trouble, and I honestly have no idea if she ever did get her McDonald's. The next one is titled, No, Sir, I'm Not Your Nurse. I work as a system admin for a small hospital. Think jack of all trades when it comes to technology. Our help desk person recently left and we've been bouncing help desk duty between me and 2 other sysadmins until her replacement is found. I was babysitting the help desk phone one afternoon when a call came in. I answered it with my usual, hospital IT department. Insanity speaking. Caller, I can't call my wife. I literally stare at the phone for a moment, wondering who was calling the help desk. It didn't sound like any of our usual users. It actually sounded like a very old man grumbling into the phone. The caller ID said room 215A, an ID I'd never seen before. Me, I'm sorry. Who is this? Caller, Mr. Caller. I need to talk to my wife. Why can't I reach my wife? Me, I'm sorry you're having problems with your phone. Are you a patient in the hospital? Caller, getting grumpy, yes, damn it. Why can't I call my wife? We don't deal with patients or their tech issues. The nurses, God bless their souls, usually serve as the first line of tech support for anyone admitted. If they can't figure it out, they call their boss, who will call us. Me, I'm not sure, sir. You should probably ring for your nurse. They'll be able to help you call your wife. Caller, well, aren't you my nurse? This isn't the first time I've been mistaken for a nurse. Yes, I'm female, but I like working on computers and phones and network equipment. They don't scream in pain. Me, no, sir. I'm not your nurse. I'm in the technology department. I help the employees with their computer issues. Caller, a bit more humble, oh. I'm sorry. I was trying to dial out and I somehow got you. Me, not a problem, sir. I'll call down to the nurses' station and have them come by and help you with your phone. Okay? Caller, sure. Sure. That's fine. Thank you. Me, you're very welcome. I hope you feel better soon. I hung up the phone and immediately called down to the nurses' station. Thankfully, it was a shift lead that knew something about technology. I passed on the room number and asked her to call me if they couldn't figure out Mr. Caller's issue. I never got a call back, so I assumed she was able to connect him to his wife. The next one is titled, Got Spotted at the Office by a Customer While on Furlough. So, I do actually work there. But well, I work at a travel agency, so I have been on furlough for a while, let's put it that way. Also, my department doesn't deal with walk-in customers, we only deal with big groups, so I don't directly work with the people this lady was looking for. Our boss went through our storage before starting her own furlough and sent us all an email that we're welcome to anything she put on a big pile in our break room. I had to go downtown anyway, so I figured I'd go check if there were any model airplanes for my nephew. The entire wall of our office is glass, but our break room is behind a corner, so it's not actually visible to people outside the office. The problem is, we only have one light switch and it turns on the lights in the entire office. It was a rainy, gloomy day, so I turned on the lights, thinking it's no issue. We have a big sign on the front door of the building and again on the door of the office that we are only at the office for scheduled meetings, otherwise the customers should call or email. However, as I go through the big pile of stuff, I suddenly hear knocking. My first thoughts are that it's one of my colleagues or the cleaning lady, and I sort of automatically just go check it out. I frown when it's a stranger but think she's just lost and wants directions. I hold up a finger to show her, 1 second, go grab my mask and then open the door. Finally, there's someone here. I've been coming every day for a week. Huh? Have you scheduled a meeting? We are only open if. I've never had to schedule a meeting, and I'm not about to start. I've booked tickets with you at least 5 times. Oh, okay, Do you have a favorite agent? I can give you their direct number if they're not on furlough. We're under orders to work from home right now, but they'll come here if you're here. I'm actually on furlough, I was just here too. Just open a computer and sell me a ticket, I pay cash. We don't take cash. If she's booked with us before, she should know that. We don't take cash. And I can't, I'm on furlough and I don't actually even work for individual sales, I literally wouldn't know how to make a booking for you. Well then you're a bit useless at a travel agency, aren't you? I work for a different department. Did you want a number to one of our agents? I can just give you the general number so that you'll be connected to whoever is on duty. What the hell are you doing here if you're not on duty? I was just going through our inventory. Do you want the number or not? She took the number. Later that day my colleague texted our group chat, confused, was someone at the office today? Yeah, I went to check if I could find a model airplane. Why? Apparently we have incompetent staff who won't accept money. Did you tell her you're on furlough? I did, and that I don't work for individual sales. Typical. Well, I couldn't sell her anything anyways, she wanted to go to Australia. Curious, is she a regular? She's booked a couple of times in the last 5 years, or so. Right. Oh well. I'm sorry you had to deal with her. No worries. The next one is titled, What About Me, Makes You Think I Work Here? Note, it's virus time, so people are obligated to wear masks and all the social distancing rules are well in effect. About me, I'm in my 40s, I have a day job as an executive in the software field, and a volunteer position job as a Taekwondo (TKD) from here out instructor at the school where my kids and I have taking TKD, not to mention I'm an ex-US Army soldier that is built like a brick crap house. Okay, for the story, cast includes me equals, well you know, K equals Karen, KC equals Karen's child, Chuck equals happy-go-lucky older store employee. Like seriously, this guy is in his 60s 70s and always tries to make everyone feel good when going through his register. And last but not least, Bob equals an employee under me at my day job, as in he directly reports to me. This happened last night. I had a full day of work, and took my last meeting for my day job in the car while heading to TKD. As the first class I'm instructing is at 5:10, I'm normally done with my day job at about 4:30 p.m, but someone called a 4:30 meeting at work. I normally have some time to chat with my wife before leaving to see if she needs me to stop at the grocery store and pick anything up before heading back home, as the grocery store is in the same shopping complex as the TKD studio. I get through teaching a couple TKD classes and decide that I was going to head to the grocery store for ibuprofen as my knee was a bit sore. Remember, ex-football player plus ex-soldier plus over 40 equals bad knees, lol. Now I just finished a few classes, I'm a bit sweaty and I'm wearing a TKD uniform, you know, all white pajama looking things with the TKD school name in red, white and blue on the back and patches on the front and shoulders. I'm also wearing a black belt that has my name and the name of the TKD school on it. As I cross the threshold of the store with my phone and wallet in my hands, my phone in my right hand and my wallet in my left, as there are no pockets in the TKD uniform, I try single-hand texting with my wife to see if she needed anything while I was there. I'm used at how used to texting I was using both thumbs. I was in a good mood. I see Chuck about 10 paces into the store, restocking a display or something. Keeping one eye on my phone as I'm still texting the first message, I walk towards him and say something along the line of, "How's it going tonight, Chuck?" To which he asked how my classes went and replied joking about teaching the kids being hard on me and needing ibuprofen. During the exchange I was able to send off my text asking my wife if she needed anything. To me, it was a nice greeting as I saw Chuck once, sometimes twice, a week after my TKD classes, but for Kay it must have meant something more. As I walked, with a slight limp, down the aisle towards my favorite anti-inflammatory, I heard the telltale, "Excuse me." I turn and a few paces behind me, maybe 67 feet, is Kay, well Toto, probably never worked a day in her life, 30-something, dragging a kid, possibly her son, who's about 78 years old. My first thought was that they wanted information on TKD, or the kid had questions about my uniform, as these things happened pretty often. But no, if that were the case, I wouldn't be telling my story in this sub, would I? The interaction went like this: "Kay, where is the tofu blah blah blah?" Really, I still have no idea what the obscure tofu thing she was asking for was, or where it would be in the store. Trying to be nice, I reply, "I'm sorry, I don't work here, but Chuck is just down at the end of the aisle, and he should be able to help." Kay cuts me off. "I asked you, not that crazy old man." I swear KC could make out my WTF expression through my US Army veteran mask, and he started pulling his mother back down the aisle towards Chuck, who is only about 15 feet behind them, saying something along the lines of, "Mum, let's go to the funny guy." I assume it is all over and turn my back on Kay and KC, and might have taken 2 steps. This is when Kay grabs my upper arm in a move that I guess she thought would turn me around back towards her and yells, "Don." She was cut short by me flicking her hand off my arm, similar to a horse flicking its tail at a fly, and making her stumble back. As she is stumbling backwards, I see Chuck heading down the aisle, and he more than likely heard the first exchange. Kay goes off on a tirade, "Who do you think you are? How dare you touch me?" and all this other stuff, but I was tuning her out, so I didn't catch it all. Chuck, God bless him, enters the situation as cheery as ever. "So, how are we all doing this evening?" And at this point I am completely ignoring Kay and start to reply to Chuck with an equally cheery, "It's just another Monda," when Kay cuts me off and tells Chuck how this employee assaulted her, and how I shouldn't be allowed near customers. My WTF look came back in full force. I even took a step back and looked down at my TKD uniform. As I looked back at Chuck, he was literally scratching his head, I think looking to the correct words or recounting what he had witnessed, heard. Chuck, with a tone I had never heard from him, looked Kay straight in the face and said, "Nope, not what saw. You called me old," and then grabbed him as he was walking away from you. As you can see, his hands are full, gesturing to my phone and wallet still in each hand, and he didn't lay a finger on you. Kay's tirade then went on full attack towards Chuck. "You stupid old man, how dare you? Do you know who I am? You can't treat me this way." I started tuning her out again when I saw another person that I recognized walk around the end of the aisle towards us. Bob enters the scene, and just about the time I was going to say, "Hi," KC turns and looks at Bob and yells, "Daddy." This immediately stopped Kay's tirade, and then she went into, I kid you not, real tears and started telling Bob how I assaulted her and how Chuck is taking my side and not hers. Bob, looking very uncomfortable, looks at me and states an emotionless, almost defeated sounded, "I'm sorry, my name." Lo and behold, Kay stopped crying, stopped talking altogether, and just stared at Bob. There was a strange quiet moment. It felt like a minute, but was probably about 810 seconds. Bob to Kay, "Kay, this is my boss, my name, from company name." Kay just stood there staring, and to break another long silence I turned to Chuck and asked, "Do you know where the tofu blah 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 is?" The mood relaxed in an instant and almost everyone took an exasperated breath. I then asked Kay, "What about me?" while gesturing to my uniform. "Makes you think that I work here?" gesturing to the shelves on the aisle. To this, Kay just dropped her gaze, and Chuck offered to escort her to the tofu item that she was looking for. Bob again apologized to me, and just about that time my hand buzzed with my wife's response to my question of if she needed anything from the grocery store, and her single-word answer summed up the entire encounter: alcohol. It's now Tuesday, the next day, and I had just talked to Bob about this. He again apologized and told me he had no idea why she had acted that way, and she's not normally like that. I said, "No worries," but then stated quite bluntly he should keep an eye on her, as this situation could have played out much worse, and I started telling him about this sub. Hopefully some reading might give him some insight into his wife's actions, and the possible consequences.